Alright, back again, Luke here, and as you can see in front of you, this is another SNK board here. This is Ikari Warriors, and I got this one in here, and it's not working. It's a non-JAMA board here, as you can tell by the connector. It's a lot shorter. But this thing has suffered from a lot of deteriorating from either being in a very humid place or from being in storage for a long time or what have you. There's a lot of rust on these EPROMs here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out all these EPROMs, and since they're really rusty, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of this industrial strength sandpaper. This is still very fine grit sandpaper, but I'm going to use that on the edges. Sometimes people will say, no, don't use sandpaper, you know, use an eraser, blah blah blah. For rust and stuff, erasers just don't cut it. So I'm going to be using some sandpaper here and trying to get these things to you know, scuff up and get them put back in there and see if we can't get this thing working. But this is the first part here. We'll see what happens, but let's give it a shot. Okay, so as I was taking these out, I figured I'd show you guys a little bit of you know, what the inside of these cradles look like for the EPROMs. These are actually oxidized really bad green color. So what I do is after I get the EPROM out, as you can see, I've kind of shined this up a little bit using some sandpaper. That's worked out really well. But what I also like to do is kind of clean these up a little bit as well, so when you go to put it back in, it seats properly. So I just use a wire brush and go through here. Normally I'd be using one hand to hold this thing stable, but alright, you guys, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's a little bit shinier now, and that'll definitely help this get seated more properly and make a better connection here. And you can go over it a couple of times. Just you want to make sure that you get all the remnants out of there as well. So after I get done with that, I'll grab some compressed air here and get that out of there. So that should work a little bit better. But yeah, I figured I'd throw this in here, and we'll keep going along here and see what happens. And as we're taking out these EPROMs here, I thought I'd show you guys this as well. You've already seen how green the sockets here are, but here's what the EPROMs look like right now, which is, you know, probably why this board doesn't do anything. This board is dead right now. It's not doing anything, but you can see the rust along the edges here, along the sides. This is probably a little bit better than some of the ones that I've taken out so far, but after using a bit of sandpaper, this is how it polishes up. So you can see the big difference. I mean, you know, this is the way it was before, and with a little bit of sandpaper, this is the way it is now. So that's definitely going to make a better connection here. So we'll keep plugging along and go through all of these EPROMs on top. There's some EPROMs in the middle board. I'll use my brush here to go along and try and clean up the side pieces here, as well as the pins on this. And yeah, we'll keep going here. So. Okay, so we got everything polished up here, took out all of the EPROMs from the top and the middle and the bottom, and polished them up and reseated everything here. On the front, there were a couple of cables that weren't existent. These two in the back here are the ones that were with it, but these didn't have any, and I didn't have any extra cables, so I just soldered on the red and black wire. One goes to 1 on the bottom, and then 2 goes to 2 on the bottom here. Had to make up a wiring harness here for it because it's not JAMA, and haven't tested it yet. A little bit nervous on it, but we'll see what happens. So let's flip the old switch and see what we get. Well, it looks like it's cycling. That's good. I don't know if it's going to continue doing that or not. Interesting. Well, it looks like it's kind of stuck in kind of some kind of loop right now. Well, it's kind of showing a little bit of life, I guess. I don't know what's going on with it, but we'll play around with it a little more and see what happens. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay, so far what I've done is I've removed this Z80, one of these Z80 Z-Log processors here, and interestingly enough, after removing this one, I'll show you what it's doing now. You can see the screen's a little bit garbled here, but it'll actually start the game. You can see here, with the lights off, there's Ikari Warriors. So there is something wrong with the CPU or something around that area that's causing it to not start up here. But without that chip in there, it'll actually, you know, fire on. It's not working per se, but at least it's turning on. Let's see. Let's try if I put in a coin. Oh, that's not working. Okay. Well, nonetheless, it's kind of doing something, so we'll see what else we can figure out here. See if we can get this thing back up and running again. Alright, so I'm still messing around with this thing. It's really weird. I changed around a couple of things over here. I scratched off some of this and patched a couple of the traces on the side there. And this thing's starting to come together a little bit. You can see it's got color to it a little. And the screen does kind of start up here. You can see the characters have color. You can see Ikari Warriors there. But as far as everything else goes, when I go to put in the other CPU, it actually winds up crashing. It just keeps resetting itself. So, not sure exactly which one of these chips is the culprit here, but one of the chips is causing it to do some stuff here. If I put in a coin, you can see the screen here. It just says, probably says like 1 or 2 players, but if we hit start, you can see that some of the animation and, you know, some of the game itself is actually playing. Unfortunately, not all of it. So, here's our 1 player. And you can only move just a little bit before everything locks up here. Nothing works there. Oh, it looks like his bombs work. So, and his shot, regular shot works. There's only 2 buttons in the game, so... But there's no movement here. And let's see, if we turn this off here and pop this back in, this thing is really odd, very temperamental. At least it's doing something. I'm happy that it's, you know, kind of working, but there's that. When it has all 3 of these CPUs in it, it does the same thing. I've swapped this CPU and this CPU, does the same thing. Swapped these 2, same thing. Tried to take out this one, and it just flashes on the screen. Try to take out this one, just flashes on the screen. When I take out this one here, no matter what, every time it'll fire on, but here's what it'll do with that CPU in there. It just does this. So... it's a garbled mess. So I don't know, I'll have to mess around with it a little bit more and see what we can get going here. It's really strange. It's really odd, but we'll give it another shot. Alright, so before, when I had this thing plugged into my Frankencade, this thing wasn't doing very much with all of the CPUs put in there, but I went and took this thing and plugged it into my Blast City, and I don't know, it must be a little bit of the voltage difference, but it's actually turning on with the CPUs all in place. Now, before I had to remove this one in order to get an image because it was just flashing on screen, but now it's getting the image on screen. It still hasn't changed anything as far as the graphics go, but I'll show you what's going on here. You can see that it's playing, you know, it's playing, but it has some serious graphic issues here. It looks like some of the background graphics are missing, and they're missing for the first player as well as the text in the background, and yeah, when you put in a coin, you can hear the music, you know, start, and your player can move just left for a split second, and then it locks up. But you can still use your shoot button, which is kind of weird. I don't know what's going on with this thing. But let's see if I can reach the coin switch here. Alright. And hit start here. And once again, you can see the animation. The airplane looks, you know, looks pretty good. But unfortunately, that's the only thing going on here. So like I said, you can't move forward, you can't move backward. I can move left. Yeah, just once, and then that's it. I can still fire, but I can't move anymore and use my bombs. And then the other thing about it is once you start running out of time, or the timer thing starts going off, it'll start throwing stuff at you like bombs, but you don't die. So I don't know, this is really weird. One thing's for sure though, it does need a little bit more power than what that Frankencade is putting out with that PC power supply. So that's one part. Let's see what we can do with the rest of it.